Want to begin gathering in? Commissioners. All right. Good afternoon. We're going to call to order the special meeting of the City Commission for Wednesday, September the 15th. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Mayor Owen.
Present.
Vice Mayor Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Hartman.
Here.
Commissioner Colodi.
Here.
Commissioner McGurk.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Before we begin, just want to let everyone know our hearts and thoughts continue to be with Jeremy, one of our firefighters in the ICU, continuing to fight, has a beautiful family, young children, and truly needs our support, the support of the community. So there's information posted on, I believe, the city website. I posted some on social media as well. So if you think of it, and you just remember him in whatever way is meaningful for you. But certainly we just want to keep that family on our hearts today. Khaled and many others had a chance to visit with him today, and the firefighters had all came together, I believe, this morning for them. So we're doing everything we can to support them as a family, but at this point, certainly relying on the medical experts and keeping the faith. So, all right, with that, we're here today for a budget hearing. For clarity, I talked to a few folks right before the meeting, but just so you know, we had a workshop yesterday about some of the other funding, the ARPA funding. So we had a workshop yesterday on that. So this is the city's kind of operating budget. And I also want to be very clear that, this is probably call it the 15th maybe. If you've added up all the workshops and everything else, this is probably the accumulation of about 15 maybe meetings on various topics. That's all through the year. We have many budget workshops where we have departments come up and give us granular level detail about how their departments are running. We ask questions, we make comments, we challenge things, and then all of that kind of keeps growing and compounding. And then we have these hearings where we're kind of approving the final things. At a meeting a month or so ago, we would have approved the what we call the tentative millage, and what that sets is a number where we cannot set a millage above that. We can set it below that, but we cannot go above that millage rate that was proposed and sent out in that tentative millage that any resident would have received, and that includes our taxes and all the county taxes. City taxes are only about 22% of your total tax bill, by the way. So that's what we're here. So I just wanted, the broad scope of all things budget, we're down to kind of this last little bit. And so we will certainly hear from the public. We're going to hear from some staff, and then we'll have some discussion. But again, you ought to understand, if you're expecting a 15-hour meeting as we go through all of that, we've already done some of that. So that's where we're at. And so with that, we'll open it up for public participation. This is your chance to address the commission. If you step to the podium, give your name and address, you'll have 3 minutes to address the commission on any item you would like to choose.
Hey guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. My name's Tim Bagno, and I would like to just read something that I prepared for the budget and taxes.
Sure. Just make sure it's talking to that mic so we can all hear you.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
I would like to speak on behalf of the budget. Every year our taxes have gone up, and every year there has been no improvements in our neighborhoods, such as additional streetlights or sidewalks. There has been so much new commercial and residential growth in New Smyrna Beach over the past year and continuing this year. These are all new ratables bringing taxable income into the city and the county. So why is there still a large enough deficit to raise property taxes on existing residential properties? New Smyrna gets tax revenue with all the new mega facilities and complexes going up that are residential and commercial out on Route 44. And all over NSB, there is new houses that are 3 times larger than the original homes they had torn down to rebuild. New home buyers and residents that are tearing down older homes and replacing them with new increased square footage homes should have their property tax rates reevaluated, and those existing homes with no improvements done to them should remain the same or close to it. There are other ways to increase revenue for the city other than hitting the homeowners with increases, such as luxury taxes, cigarette tax, parking fees and meters, and increased ride-on beach access fees. They could increase taxes paid for Airbnbs and vacation rentals, as well as short-term rentals, and even raising the rate on public transportation in small increments. They could also impose a one-time yearly beach tag fee like they have in other places, and also increase dog licensing fees in small increments. As most people have pets, and that would generate a great deal of revenue to keep the property taxes down. Most of these homes are second and third generation owned homes with families that are struggling, especially with COVID-19 pandemic. It is unfair to raise these property rates, especially when the unemployment support from the U.S. government has recently stopped and jobs are somewhat scarce with the uprising COVID-19 cases in the state of Florida. Majority of people are not vacation rental owners. They are hardworking families trying to recover from a pandemic, and this is not the year to raise the property taxes. Thank you for your time and hearing me tonight.
Thank you. And did we get your name, address, and name?
Tim Bagnell at 810 East 15th Avenue.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Any others for public participation? No others. All right. Seeing no others for public participation, we will move on to the first item, which is the UC's. Oh, by the way, last thing I want to clarify. These are first readings, and then there will be basically an identical meeting where we'll have a second reading of the same item. So we're going to discuss and debate some today, and then we have a second reading at a future meeting. So today we've got item 3A. City Attorney will read this ordinance the first time by title only.
Ordinance number 4821, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the Utilities Commission, City of New Smyrna Beach for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2022, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Okay. So we have, I feel like we had a report from them earlier in the year on their budget from the Utilities Commission. So I know he was here last night. Do we have any questions from the commission on the UC budget? Again, I know we heard from them earlier in the year, so yeah. Any questions on that? Do I have them? This is a public hearing, so I'll open for any comments on item or ordinance 4821. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 4821 on first reading?
So moved. Second.
Okay, no discussion. City Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, 4821 is adopted. The second reading and public hearing will be on Tuesday, September 28th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Is that right? It won't be, it's not a special workshop? It's at 6:30?
It's not a special
Okay.
workshop. It's part of the regular meeting.
All right, just checking. Okay, next item, 3B, Resolution 3821, resolution which, if adopted, would adopt the New Smyrna operating millage rate. Attorney will read this resolution by title only.
Resolution number 3821, a resolution of the City of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, tentatively determining the amount and fixing the rate of taxation and making the annual property ad valorem levy in the amount of 3.7421 mils per $1,000 of non-exempt assessed value for general fund operations of the city for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. Scheduling a public hearing for final levy of ad valorem taxes and providing an effective date.
Okay.
So we'll have Natalia give you a quick
Yeah.
presentation, and then we'll take any questions you might have.
And this presentation, gentlemen, probably covers, if I have to guess, covers not only this, but also the debt millage rates as well. It's probably all rolled into one. So just any questions, let's just kind of discuss it all here. And then obviously as we get to those items, we'll vote separately, but we'll just cover it all here. So, Natalia.
Good evening. So as you mentioned, Mayor, we're here for first public hearing, and we probably have presentation number 25. It feels like it. And we're getting to the end of the process. So our tentative city millage rate is 3.7421, and current budget was prepared based on that millage. Voted that 2005 is millage 0.2522. Voted that 2018 0.1319. So total proposed city millage for fiscal year 2022 is 4.1262. Current total millage is 4.17 for fiscal 21. So rollback rate would be 3.5846, which is 4.39% increase over proposed millage rate decrease. So the difference basically 4.39 between rollback and proposed. Now, proposed budget has changed since our workshop on August 19 because Commission directed us to come up with several savings in order to add police officers, 4.5 positions, firefighters, and some equipment we had to purchase this year. So we accomplished that. It was a difficult process, but we've done it. So we went from $87.7 million for the total budget to $86,853,989, so which we were able to decrease about $900,000. So this is significant changes. And I will go a little bit more depth for these ones. As I mentioned, you directed us to come up with additional funds for 4.5 police officer positions and 3 firefighters. So for police officers, we budgeted it would be about $345,000, and for firefighters about $160,000. So for firefighters, what we did, we reduced the overtime, and we were able to come up with, that's how we would fund those additional 3 positions. For 4.5 positions for police officers, we had to work a little bit harder. So what we did, we basically went through our capital equipment list and capital project list, and we were able to finance 5 vehicles, and additional equipment for IT department. And that gave us savings of about $208,000. And those vehicles and that additional equipment will be coming to you for upcoming agenda on this, September 28th. So that was one saving we were able to do. Also, we were able to come up with additional $35,000 from capital projects list from general fund, which also contributed to our additional money requested for police officer positions. We also were able to reduce some operating costs. We reduced city manager proposed contingency line from $92,000 to $42,000, which is by $50,000. We also reduced some just basic lines, supplies, and we just kind of, took a harder look where else we can find the savings. That gave us in general, about $77,000. Also in budget proposed, which we presented to you on August 19, we had 2 full-time positions that we added, capital project coordinator and risk coordinator. So we reduced those both to part-time, which gave us additional saving for about $57,000. And we work with fleet manager for fuel cost. We have a little bit saving there, about $15,000. And also very big savings came up from the airport, which not general fund, of course. But if you remember, on July 29, we approved the grant. It was about $1 million. So that was budgeted in the current fiscal year, which is 21. So this is our capital equipment plan, and we removed those items, about $208,000. It's already those vehicles that we were able to finance this fiscal year, 2021. So basically, it's that list. We did not have any changes on special revenue funds or any of this because our concentration was on the general fund. So total capital equipment list for all funds now $2.1 million. Capital improvement list was reduced by about $35,000, and it's right now at $10,009,000. So for total for equipment and improvement, it's $12,172,890. Yeah, that's my shortest presentation, and that concludes it.
Okay. Gentlemen, questions, comments?
Natalia, so you said there was still money in the city managers?
Yes, it's still, we left 42,000.
Okay.
So we reduced from 92 to 42 by 50.
Any others?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Natalia, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Khaled and all our staff, administrative heads, for trying to keep what they have and what they need and cut the line a little bit. I know that everybody's pocket in the city would like to be a little fuller. I think we found a happy medium. A good deal is one that everybody walks away from thinking they got jilted, but I think this year, to give a little bit of a break, it depends on what the property appraiser, as far as I can understand, appraised your home at. My value for my home went down. Consequently, it's possible my taxes will go down. So it will be across the board. You'll see changes. Your taxes may go up slightly, your taxes may go down. But I appreciate you guys really trying to hold the line for us. We started out with, I think, 3.8. And so to come back to 3.74 is a good deal. It's the first time I've seen that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have a comment? Oh. So to me, just for those that are joined, again, a lot of stuff has been said at previous meetings, but we have folks that are just here for this one. So just to clarify a few things, Vice Mayor, you're exactly right. Taxes is a value times a rate. We control the rate. We don't control the value. Value is whatever your home is appraised at. We control the rate. So what the millage number you hear tossed around, the 3.714, 3.7421, that is staying flat. Correct me at any point if I'm wrong. That is staying flat from last year to this year. So we are not changing the millage rate. And in fact, when you look at the aggregate, when you include some of the debt service, and by the way, those are things that are voted on by the voters. That's not something we can even do. It's voted on by the voters. That's a number that slowly goes down because we paid debt off. If you add all that together, the total millage year over year is actually going slightly down in New Smyrna Beach. Now, we would hope in many cases your value may have gone up. If you're homesteaded, there are caps as to how much you can, even if your value is going up 100%, your taxes don't go up that much. But if your value is going up slightly, you would have that slightly higher rate times the same. It's like sales tax. It's 6.5%. If you buy a $100 item, you pay 6.5% of 100. If the store raises the price of that to 101, you pay 6.5%. So we have worked really hard to keep that rate the same while providing some extra services and things that are requested. It's always interesting, and I made this at other comments. We have, probably, 40, 45 something meetings a year, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe a little less, maybe more. Every other meeting, with the exception of this one and the one we're going to have right after this on the September 28th, is folks standing here about things that they want the city to do, and all of those have a price tag. And the only meeting where we have folks come in and say what they, to cut the budget is this one time. So that's, budget should also, the word compromise should also be used, because that's what budgets are. It's a compromise. We all have to make those decisions. You have a certain amount of money, and you can do some things, you can't do it all. So I think, as the Vice Mayor said, we've landed at a good compromise. I could have supported actually, tweaking the rate up a little bit, but I think we've landed at a good compromise that is good for the citizens, recognizing the hard year that we've been through, and so keeping that rate flat, while also making sure the city can still provide all those essential services and what you heard the gentleman speak of earlier, but I believe wasn't able to stay to hear this part, unfortunately. But folks still need things. We still have to make sure we have police and fire on the streets. And by the way, we're having to pay police officers more than we ever have. We're having to pay firefighters more than we ever have. Our employees still expect to have pay raises, just like everyone else does. And so this notion that we could go to rollback and keep the exact same revenue that we had last year when fuel prices are higher, lumber prices are higher, employee costs are higher, health insurance costs, every other cost is higher. I mean, that's inflation. That's the nature of it. So I think we've done a good job. I applaud staff. I think we've challenged staff in many ways, and they've risen to the occasion, and we've met the priorities that this commission set, which was public safety, and then we've also done a lot of other things as well. So, and again, by the time we get this approved, the budget will be wrong, and we will start tweaking and responding to current events. Nobody anticipated COVID when we made the 2020 budget. So that's the nature of budgeting, and that, of course, will all come back, and we'll debate and discuss that when it comes back to us. So with that, yes, go ahead.
No questions, but comments.
Sure, go ahead.
My questions would only be that you've done a very good job sorting through all the various line items. Even with everything taken out, I don't consider this a austere budget. I think we've covered a lot of things. If we really wanted to cut it down, there'd probably be a little bit more, but that's another subject. Between 20 and 21, the values, our property values in this town went up $359 million. New construction was $135 million, so that leaves $224 million value increase in all of our property values. Unfortunately, we're going to have to pay taxes on that. I guess we do such a good job in town, people want to live here and they're willing to pay more for it. That's a 4.9% increase in value just to start with. So that's money that we've used to, in this budget, get additional police, additional fire department. We've increased public safety, which had been, I hate to say, it was very, very efficiently run. It's probably the best way to put it. And it will allow a little more latitude now. The chief can operate the department, provide better coverage, and make things better, which I'm sure. The mayor briefly discussed rollback rate. It would be lovely to go to rollback rate, except, as he stated, that doesn't include anything for inflation, which we know has gone up on some items astronomically. Others are a little more controlled. But even if you added 3% to that rollback rate, it would be at 3.69, and we're now at 3.74, which is close to it. I've never voted to approve a budget in this town because I always thought they were excessive. I could support this. I would hope that in the next 2 weeks we may come up with other additional savings that you might have overlooked, but you've done a really good job. I look forward to being able to vote for a budget, to approve it for once. But once again, it's not an austerity budget. Next year's coming, and as the mayor said, everything is cumulative. 3% this year, will be another 3% next year, and it's going to come to a point where we're going to have to make a really tough decision on where we spend our money and what we're doing. We do have I hate to call it fortunate, but we're getting money from the federal government, $13 million, which I hope won't have any effect on this budget, but I hope next year that will allow us to possibly approach a rollback rate. But that's what we'll have to worry about for next year.
Yeah.
Those are my comments.
Okay. The last thing that I had, you reminded me, he talks about police, and we heard great presentations from our police chief, our fire chief on just those efficiencies of their operations. So I challenge you, if you consider yourself a budget hawk and you're here because you want to make sure your government is being efficient with your tax dollars, go back. All of these sessions have been recorded. Go on the city website. There's hours of footage where you can hear our staff give detailed presentations looking at operational levels, looking at staffing levels over time. And in the case of police, if I recall correctly, you go back to 2002, 2007, 2008, and we have roughly the same officers today as we had then, even though we've had population growth, we've had all kind of other things that have changed. So we really are at a point where some of the stuff wasn't we had to do some of these things, or else we'd have seen quality of life sacrifices that no one on this dais is willing to make, and no one in the public, we feel, would want us to make. That's not what we've heard as we've stood in front of people, and we've said that during these meetings. We go to neighborhood, town halls and standing living rooms and get approached in Publix all the time, and it's always about, hey, what are you doing about this issue? What do you can you have an officer on my street more often? I have never had somebody walk up to me in Publix and saying, hey, I pay too much to live in New Smyrna. That just doesn't happen. So that's not saying we're going crazy. We're trying to keep a right balance. So I challenge you, between now and the next meeting, go watch those hours of budget meetings where you had all the staff present, and it's really, really interesting. So, all right, this is a public hearing, so we'll pause real quick. And so if the public has anything to say on this item, this resolution, this is your chance. Sure, come ahead. You just come right, you got to come here to the mic so we can get it on record and all that. If you give your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Diane Bean. I live at 703 Faulkner Street. I appreciate to have the public meeting, but I just want you to know that this beautiful new room could barely hear you, and we can't see that. I mean, You can't read it. And so somebody had a handout, but I don't know if there were some for everyone. I do have a couple of questions. The gentleman over here said that we were unable to use the funds that came from the federal government. I think you said there were $13 million.
They actually haven't come yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you ask all your questions, because this is your time, and then we'll try to come back and respond to something.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And of course, we do know that New Smyrna has a tremendous amount of new development. Did the developers have to pay impact fees?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so did that not help take care of some of these additional costs that we're talking about?
So again, you have now 2 minutes, so ask all your questions. I'm going to take notes, and I'll come back and answer as many as I can. So I've got that one. I'll come back and answer it. So
Okay,
impact
those
fees?
were my primary two questions.
Okay.
Was about the, why were we not able to include the $13 million, and why are we not able to take advantage of the impact fees that have been paid, or what does that cover and what does it not cover?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so I'm going to stop your time there. So both of these kind of have the same answer. Impact fees and the $13 million from the government, those are in a category, an accounting category, and they are only eligible to be used on certain type of expenses. And there's tons of rules and regulations around that. In the case of the $13 million, we literally had an hour and a half, 2-hour workshop on that last night, where we had a presentation from an expert. 1,000-page document that they reduced down to a PowerPoint for us and said, basically, here's the parameters, kind of how you can and can't use it. So we cannot use that to go and hire 4 more police officers or do most of the things you see on this. We can do some, and that's what we're talking about. We don't have that money yet, so we have to approve this budget, and we didn't even know about that money when this budget started happening. Okay, so it may, as the commissioner said, may be something we can start factoring into next year's budget now that we know about it. But at the time we didn't. Impact fees is very similar. There's rules at the state level that has to be used on certain type of things and within a certain radius of that development. So developers do pay impact fees. We have studied those. We've increased them in New Smyrna Beach. But that doesn't mean that we can use it to go do a lot of things. There's certain things we can, but a lot of things we can't do. So there's general fund, and there's these other specialized funds these kind of expenses go into.
Can you give us a cheat sheet on what you can do with the COVID money?
So again, I would challenge you, go back, watch the meeting last night. The video is posted on the clerk's website. Her card is right there, Kelly McQuillan, and she can walk you through how to find that on the website. And that whole workshop, we had a presentation and we asked a ton of questions. There's still gray area, frankly. The government doesn't even know yet what we're allowed to do and not in some cases. But yeah, we had a whole discussion on that. So I will point you to that presentation because that's our cheat sheet we're using.
Can you just give us 3 categories that it's appropriate for?
So the broad 3 categories, one was stormwater and water quality projects. One was direct COVID-related expenses, so things like testing for employees, vaccinations, hazard pay, things like that. Help me out. What were some of the others? Those 2?
Mostly infrastructure.
Yeah, infrastructure type things. One was potentially some aid type things for not-for-profits and some categories like that. And then there was revenue reimbursement, so lost revenue. So things like we couldn't rent the Brandon Center, we possibly could get reimbursement, but we actually didn't even qualify for that based on a huge calculation that was done. So yeah, trust me, we have analyzed that, looked at it. We would love for that to be budget supplemental, but we're going to use it. And again, watch the meeting and see what you think.
Is it true that we still have an upside-down situation in Smyrna as it relates to taxes? So, for example, in many communities, 60% of the taxes are paid for by businesses and 40% by homeowners. And is it true that we have kind of a flip-flop situation of that here?
So, I wouldn't necessarily call that an upside down. There's no right and wrong in that.
There is if you're the taxpayer.
Well, but
if most residential taxes are, if we're heavily taxed because we don't have enough revenue from businesses. Is that not true? Maybe it's not true.
So you could choose to live in a place that had more commercial development, or you can choose a place that's more residential development. I mean, you go to Edgewater, they are purely a bedroom community. They have almost 100% residential tax. We have probably, I don't remember at last count, it's probably in the 70% residential. But that's just the blend of what we are, and that's not something we drive. That's just how the town has developed.
It's also influenced by pushback of residents who don't want any kind of commercial development, and I happen to be pro-development but I want, to have limitations, and it can't be dirty and things of that nature. But it seems as if there's an effort to push back on development here, and that does impact our taxes significantly, does it not?
Yeah, and I would challenge you, and again, you're almost out of time here, but if you, this commission has been trying to strike the balance of exactly what you're mentioning. There haven't been very many projects that have come forward that have met the requirements that we haven't allowed to transpire. Commercial development is happening in New Smyrna. I mean, drive down 44. So this commission is right where you're at. We don't want just anything. We want it to be right for New Smyrna, but we have a ton of property that is zoned commercial, but we don't develop it. We just, we follow our rules. And so it's not that has been stopped by us. That's just where we're at as a commission.
Okay, I see I have 28 seconds.
You're over 28 seconds.
I'm over by 28 seconds? Okay, then I'll stop.
The red light flashes.
Okay, thank you.
So last thing I'd say too is, again, and that's why I said earlier, this is the culmination of 25 or so such conversations. So everything you have talked about, we've covered it. And I get it. You're a busy citizen. This is our job. It's not yours. So I'm happy to take a little time. But I challenge you, grab one of us after the meeting. Whoever your zone rep is, Faulkner would be probably you, maybe, or one of you. I don't know. One of y'all. So
nobody's claiming Faulkner?
Faulkner's a weird area. It's a crisscross. So
it's a push-off between Mike and I.
Yeah. So
you can talk meeting.
So grab Jason. Thanks, he can walk you through some of this. So
all right. Thank you very much for letting me have the questions.
Thank you. Any others? Public hearing. Any others on this item? I mean, it's hard to follow that, right? She grilled us. So. All right, we'll close the public hearing and do have a motion to adopt resolution 3821. Sorry, 48. Is it 48 or
38?
It's 38. Okay, one place. Okay, 3821.
Make that motion, Mayor.
And I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second by the vice mayor, and that's for resolution 3821. For clarity, city clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sachs?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that item is adopted. And again, these next 2 items is just the voted on debt, so these are really just, it is what it is. We don't control that. We have to pay it. We collect exactly the millage we need to pay it back. So city clerk or city attorney, if you'll read that resolution.
Resolution number 3921, a resolution of the City of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, tentatively determining the amount and fixing the rate of taxation and making the annual property ad valorem levy in the amount of, excuse me, 0.2522 mils per $1,000 of non-exempt assessed value for INS 2005 voted debt service for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021 through September 30th, 2022, scheduling a public hearing for final levy of ad valorem taxes and providing an effective date.
Okay. I think gentlemen, we understand what the debt is. It's a public hearing. Any members of the public wish to comment on this resolution, 3921? Seeing none, we will ask for a motion to adopt resolution 3921.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Was that a comment or a second? Or you were trying to say? Okay. City clerk, if you'd call the roll. We'll take the second by the vice mayor.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Commissioner Clody,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Resolution 40-21 is, again, a debt-related item. This is the 2018 debt. The last one was the 2005 debt. This is the 2018 debt. City attorney will read this one by title only.
Resolution number 4021, a resolution of the City of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, tentatively determining the amount and fixing the rate of taxation and making the annual property ad valorem levy in the amount of 0.1319 mils per $1,000 of non-exempt assessed value for INS 2018 voted debt service for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021 through September 30th, 2022, scheduling a public hearing for final levy of ad valorem taxes and providing an effective date.
Okay. Again, public hearing. Any member of the public wish to comment on resolution 40-21? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt 40-21?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
City clerk?
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Commissioner Clody,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
4021 is adopted. And lastly, 4121, the resolution would adopt the tentative budget, which is what we just were presented on in detail here. City attorney, read ordinance.
Resolution number 4121, a resolution of the City of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, tentatively adopting the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021, scheduling public hearing date for final budget adoption and providing for an effective date.
Okay. It's a public hearing. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 4121?
So moved.
Don't everybody speak at once. I had a motion from Commissioner Girk.
Second the motion.
I have a second from the vice mayor. I'm seeing no discussion. City clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Sacks.
Oh,
Yes.
Sorry.
You wanted discussion? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to make a comment.
Okay, I didn't see it. Go ahead.
No, you were looking the other way. That's fine.
You got to speak up.
When we first started this process, we were looking at roughly 3.81 for our millage rate, and I was pleased to bring it down to 3.74 with the support of two other commissioners. I do support this budget. I do hope within the next 2 weeks that we get a chance to take another little piece out of it, but at this point, I'm for it.
Okay. All right, I had a motion and a second.
Start over. Oh.
So, yeah, if you'll start completely over. So, motion and a second. That is a motion to approve resolution 4121.
Vice Mayor Sacks,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
No.
Commissioner Clody,
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Resolution 4121 is adopted. Last item on my agenda is commission comments. Gentlemen, any comments on anything you didn't get covered?
Briefly. I see a few more people who have come out for this, and I think that's great. I appreciate y'all coming out and seeing what we're up to and what we're doing with your money. I'd like to remind everybody We are the lowest millage in the entire county. I enjoy you guys coming out. I enjoy you challenging us. But the reality of it is we have maintained the lowest millage in the entire county for many years. I can't make a promise going forward that that's going to be able to be maintained, because this town, and I see people who've been in this town a very long time out here in the audience, this town is very different. We have a lot of new people who've moved here. We have a lot of different ideas on what the quality of life and level of service should be in this town. Historically, a blue-collar, working-class town. You didn't get taxed anything, but you didn't get anything. Many of our parks were put together with families who were construction workers around town. Something needed to be done, they put it together. And that's a great, wonderful history. Unfortunately, things do change. So the requests that we have, the requests that come in, and what the mayor was alluding to is, no one is here right now asking us for money, but throughout the entire budget process, we had many people coming in asking for money for all kinds of good causes. And while those are little in terms of the overall budget, it is indicative of how the community perceives their community today and going forward. Many of our landscape medians, most of the things that you see done today, a lot of it has to do with grant money. It's not out of our normal operating budget. So I always say we're going to have a coming to God meeting someday with, and even though there's some people who are still not happy with the way things are right now in terms of quality, and the parks aren't this, or the roads aren't that, we work hard at trying to maintain that balance. And we're going to have to pay the piper at some point as this community continues to elevate its game. And that comes from you all, not us. So thank you. I appreciate you all coming. And Diane, anytime you want to chat, I'll be more than happy to anytime. Thank you, Mayor.
Closing comments. Go ahead.
So I certainly agree with Commissioner McGurk, but I also want to bring to everybody's attention that in 2018, the voters passed a resolution to provide for the Turnbull Creek preservation. We didn't raise the millage rate when we did that. We absorbed that into the existing millage rate. Last year, the voters of the state of Florida passed the $15 an hour minimum wage. That's nothing that we had anything to do with, but we're forced to deal with it. It's an unfunded mandate that we're having to deal with in these next two budget sessions. We've done our best to try to raise that minimum wage so that our employees are treated fairly and equally across the entire county, and they make a decent living. So there are things in this budget that we necessarily didn't go after or were looking for, but were mandated by the residents of New Smyrna Beach and also by the residents of the state of Florida. And we've been able to, over the last two budget cycles, absorb those costs into the existing millage rate. So where we talk about rollback, in essence, we kind of have rolled back a little bit the last two budget cycles. We've adopted the Turnbull Creek Preservation Project. We've spent $15 million on that, haven't spent all of it, but we've funded for $15 million. And now we're doing the $15 an hour minimum wage. It's impacted us as an employer with all the workers that we have. So these are things that we've been able to absorb and yet keep the millage rate at the same level as it was for the last 3-4 years. So I think I appreciate everything that staff has done, and I certainly think that all of us up here have also done our due diligence and tried to maintain those millage rates so that we can provide for the citizens of New Smyrna Beach and then also provide for our employees and those who visit the city. So, I think we all have done our best, and I certainly do agree with Commissioner McGurk. At some point in time, we've hired 7 or 8 new police officers. We've hired 3 new firefighters. We're hiring additional staff to deal with the growth that at some point in time we're going to have to pay for, because we're not at $15 yet. Most of these aren't at that $15 level, but the support staff that supports the rest of us, the ones who are mowing the grass, taking care of the parks, they're not there yet, and it will take us another year probably to get there. So we can only hold the line so much. At some point in time, there will truly be a cost, and I agree, it's going to be sooner, I think, than later.
So a couple of things, and again, we're recapping some things that I just want to be clear. You heard us go through this fairly quickly. This has not been a quick, easy process. You've missed the fireworks. Truly, tonight isn't the fireworks. That was in the past. So, city manager shared with me as the one young lady who's speaking some of an old presentation. So a few things I want to point out. Commissioner Hartman just alluded to it. The last 3 years, I believe. So going back 2020, 2021, and now 2022. This will be the third year where the millage has been exactly flat. So again, property values go up and down. That's a function of the value of your house. That can change by what your neighbor does, frankly. But what we control is that millage rate. That's been flat. It was a bit higher in 2019, so we're actually lower than the 2019 rate. And then, so we're about even with 2018. So we're here having all those things he just talked about, having all the other cost of living increases that have happened, because we bear all that too. We have we're just a regular corporation in many ways. We have employees. We have cost, we have fuel, we have cars we have to buy, we have all these services we provide, just like any other company, to our 27,000 customers, which are you all. And yet we're doing it with about the same millage rate. Now, we collect more revenue because the value has gone up, but the same millage rate roughly as we were in 2018, roughly about. And again, all this data is out there, and we can get it to you. And then, as Commissioner McGurk said, by the way, technically it's the second lowest. You remember DeBerry does that thing where they treat theirs a little differently, so they look like they're lower than us.
Apples to apples?
Apples to apples, we're lowest. He's exactly correct. Apples to apples, we're lowest. On pure millage, DeBerry looks lower, but when you look at that, I mean, and it's not even close. I mean, you go out of here to Lake Helen and Orange City and Deltona. I mean, Deltona is pushing 8 mills. We're at 3.74. Deltona's at 8 mills. DeLand is pushing 7 mills. So.
Edgewater's almost done.
Edgewater's pushing 7 mills. So I'll take what we've got. I mean, I'm not saying we don't have challenges, and again, I think Commissioner Hartman's spot on. We had some pretty intense discussion around we are eventually going to pay the piper, and we had a great presentation by our public safety on how much they have done so much to try to control cost while service calls are up tremendously. Thousands more calls we're responding to between the two agencies now than we ever have, due to increased population and increased just presence. We have more people than ever flowing into this town, which is great, and it is leading to some of that commercial growth that you talked about. That's a function that's driven by some of what we do, but a lot of that's external to this room, frankly. So anyway, hopefully some of that is helpful. And again, some of this was our July 29th workshop, and there's a whole presentation here, so we'll do that. And then I appreciate the feedback on the building. That's the first I've heard that, actually. We took great pains to try to make sure it was accessible. The last thing I'll say on that, though, is everything we're doing, if you go to cityofnsb.com on your device, everybody has technology in their pocket. Go to cityofnsb.com. Right at the top, you'll see agendas and minutes. You click on agendas, and you can literally see all of this right there. And you can go to any past meeting and see what we presented. So it's follow along on your own device if you can't quite make it out here. So, but the sound we'll look at. So, all right, gentlemen, you have a closing comment. Sure, go ahead.
Just one more comment after listening to my fellow commissioners and the mayor. Yes, we have a nice low millage rate. The reason we have the millage rate is because we do a good job. Because we have a town that has tremendous physical attributes that has been run very well, not just by this commission, but all the ones before it. We have a low millage rate. We provide roughly, I hope, at least the same level of service as their adjoining towns. The main difference is our individual properties are worth a lot more than the adjoining towns. When you go in, and I would love to see this calculation, I think about it every year. You take the average worth of the various towns, you take the millage rate, and that would be a true comparison as to how we compare to other ones. Simply comparing the millage rate doesn't really mean anything. So it's a philosophical difference. I know that everybody here is doing their best and for the town, so I'm very pleased about that.
All right. With that, yes.
If I don't mind, Mayor, I just want to take a minute just to elaborate on some of the discussions. During the budget process and the preparation, we tried to look at two things, the quality of life and the level of service. Having the city grown out west, that required additional police officers and firefighters. But just so you would know, in this budget, we have 15 and a half full-time employees and 7 part-time employees, in addition to all the equipments and the capital projects that we added. Now, being the second lowest in Volusia County, it's something to be proud of. And some people, they say that's not something to be proud of. However, we maintained the level of service. We maintained the quality of life with this budget. It wasn't as easy process from the time that we had on the 29th, where the commission, we had almost close to $900,000 that we had to cut. I want to take this minute and thank the finance department and other departments that they have went into their budgets. They cut out of their items to keep the public safety budget untouched. So that's uncalled for. Usually people, they will fight, so they gave up their items from their budget. So I want to thank every one of them for taking that step and helping us in this budget. So it wasn't an easy process to come up to this level because we added these positions that we wanted to have. And if you recall, we asked for the budget to be increased by 0.0778. And the commission, they want to maintain this current millage at 3.7421. Looking around, as you mentioned, Edgewater and other cities, they're in the 7 and 8. So the staff has really tried very hard to come up to this number. And everybody wants to reduce taxes. We're taxpayers. I live in the city, and I wanted to reduce taxes as well. So with that, I just want to thank the commission for their support and the staff as well, and thank you.
Yeah, and I echo those comments, especially with finance staff. Thank you. Yeah, I think when you boil this down, I forget it. I brought my millage thing in, but I think my taxes, I can't remember if it was overall or it was just the city portion. It was going up $16, I think. And knowing all that I know now of how much we've tried to grow and do as a city, and how much things have changed, that's a value. It's probably one of the lowest increases of all the other things that I'm paying for this year that I paid for last year. So, all right.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
A quick comment. What's very important is the 5 of us serve the public, and we do our best. I see that. I tried to myself, especially to provide a quality of life that's safe and comfortable and that is sustainable. The most important things I found this year were funding public safety, which is on everybody's mind, especially in the time of COVID, especially in the times of unemployment. I've heard from all different socioeconomic segments of our population, folks that say, oh, you can afford to raise our taxes, we don't mind to take a little bit more of a hit. And then I hear from others who say, I can barely pay the mortgage, can't you give us a little bit of a break? And I have to balance that and be responsible with your money, with our money. And I think we've done a pretty good job. We funded public safety. We've provided raises for essential staff. Folks that are working people also that we'd like to retain. We'd like them to be happy, to provide better service to you. We're trying to fix sidewalks a bit at a time, roadways a bit at a time. We're trying to improve our quality of life here. So again, that thanks is heartfelt to everyone who trusts us. And you have my email, my phone number. If you have any complaints or comments regarding the budget, please don't hesitate to notify us. And hopefully we can even do better next year. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, but we really tried. And again, thanks to my colleagues and to our staff, I think we did a pretty good job. Thanks for your ear.
All right. No other business for this board tonight. We will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all. Thanks for being here.